Hello, everyone. We're going to talk about GERD today, and it's a lot of information, so we're just going to go ahead and get right on into it. So GERD is the G.E.R.D. It's gastroesophageal reflux disease. Now, I might be just chopping that first part of that up, but that's basically what the acronym GERD stands for. And what happens is, and why GERD happens, or what happens is there's a specialized muscle at the top of your stomach, bottom of your esophagus, and depending on which direction you're looking from. And what this does is it's like a little trapdoor, and it keeps lets stuff go down into your stomach, but keeps stuff from popping back up. And this muscle is called the LES, or the lower esophageal sphincter. And why GERD happens now? When I talk about GERD, I'm talking about, that's kind of a blanket term for, acid reflux, LPR, heartburn. There's just a whole myriad of things that GERD covers. Once it's labeled as a disease, it's kind of like a blanket for everything. That's how Big Pharma does it, and that's a whole subject for another day. Anyway, so for whatever reason, the LES, the valve, doesn't close right at the top of the stomach, and what happens is kind of gross, but what happens is that when it does that, it leaves a little bit of an opening, and the acid and the food and the stuff can get backed up into your esophagus. Maybe an easier way to explain it is, remember when we were kids, and we would get in water balloon fights during the summer, and you go to the hose bib, you put your water balloon on the hose bib, wrap it around the threads, and you fill it up, and everything is just right. You get the perfect fill on the balloon, everything's in proportion, the size, the weight, everything else. But then as you're pulling it off the spigot, it gets that little nick from the threads, and it starts squirting out and throwing water everywhere. Well, it's the beginning and the end of that balloon, but that's the easiest way to explain, how LES in the stomach work, or don't work, as it were, and would end up having acid backing up into your lower esophagus. So, there's two types of problems: acute and chronic. And I won't even, don't want to go too much into that. Acute is something that happens right away, happening right now. Chronic is something that continually happens over time. So the acute problem here is that acid and that burning. So taking antacids, Tums, Rolaids, those kind of things are going to fix those acute symptoms. But the real problem's deeper than that. And taking these can lead to other issues that are going to compound on that problem right there. Again, the cycle, this is the cycle that Big Pharma, insurance companies, and the rest of them want us to fall into, where we're taking one medication for another medication to help for the side effects of another medication. So, when we start talking about what kind of things we're going to change, one of the first things I start looking at is diet. So because if all you do is take the antacids just to mask the problem, you're going to have a bigger problem down the road. It's no different if you have a car that's got a knock. You can keep adding oil to it. Maybe the knock will go away, maybe it won't. But that's not going to solve the problem. It's just putting a Band-Aid on what's going wrong. So, and as that oil wears back down again, the knock comes back with a vengeance. You got bigger problems. You're going to need more of those antacids that you were taking before, because your problems in your car are even worse. So, it just perpetuates the problem, and so on and so forth. So first, let's talk about what we fix first. I suggest the easiest and the quickest fix of all is start looking at your diet and your body and your stomach, and start eating the way that your body wants to. The way that you start eating like you care about your body, care about your stomach. You got to take control of that stuff. So start eating correctly. Now, the purpose of addressing the diet to reduce the acid reflux first is to stop that flow of stuff into the esophagus, and we're going to do it by avoiding those foods and that irritate the esophagus. It also might be necessary to lose some weight, and I'm just being honest here. Now, I had terrible heartburn. It was horrible. I was barking fire. I had gotten an injury. I had hurt my back. I was down for quite some time. I put on about 60, 75 pounds because I really couldn't do anything. And it caused a lot of the weight problem was causing a lot of what was going on. I even had to go get down and get the camera in my throat to see what was going on. And they found a couple things, nothing tragic. They just found that, I had acid reflux. And I needed to watch my diet. But the second thing was, and I was reading the report from the doctor, and I skipped all the way down to the bottom, and it caught my eye when they started giving my description of me and who I was. My weight was described, or my he had me listed as morbidly obese. Now, to me, oh my God, that was devastating. I'm telling you, I play softball, baseball, umpire stuff. I'm active all the time. I hike, I run, I do all kinds of stuff. I go to the gym all the time. But at that time, I didn't. And I didn't realize that weight had gotten away from me, and that was a big part. It was stretching out my stomach. I was overeating and all of that. So I changed my diet. 65 pounds lighter. I have zero acid reflux. I don't even think I have a ton of Pepsid or any of those are rolling in the house. What happens is because the excess weight increases pressure on the stomach. So I don't like to go out there and guess when I go to the grocery store. I like to go with my list and all that other stuff. And I didn't want to do, have to research every single time. Well, I want to have this for dinner. So now what are these foods going to be? Typically when somebody falls off of any kind of eating plan, diet, whatever it is, whether it's to lose weight or for health or whatever it is, it's usually because it's just too complex and too hard and it's just too involved. So, me, geez, when I'm off and I'm not working, I'm inherently lazy. I'll admit it. I don't want to do that stuff. I don't want to make lists. I don't want to do all that stuff. So I put together a list of low acid foods that can help reduce stomach acid. And I want to send that off to you guys and give you guys an opportunity to look at that. I'm going to put some links down below for it. Also, you can go to the website and you can just anywhere on that website, if you subscribe, I always leave a comment box. If there's something that you're looking for specific when it comes to diet, something I've talked about, something I've shown, something you've seen, go ahead and ask me about it. I respond back right away and I'll get back to you and we can talk about it and see what you're looking for. So anyway, back to the foods. Now, let's just start off with a couple of them. I'm not going to go into the whole list because it is pretty an extensive list, but like bananas, they're usually considered an alkaline. So they're a good way to obtain fiber, B6, potassium. It's good for your heart and your bones. You can eat them anytime. Obviously, they're snacks or meals. There's tons of low acid recipes that use them. You can mash them up and use them for like the fat component, like butter in your recipes. Another good one is low acid is apples. Apples have a ton of fiber in them also. So and I keep coming back to this fiber thing, and because anything with fiber, it's going to help you stay full longer, which in turn will help you potentially minimize the possibility of overeating throughout the day. So a couple other low acid foods or fruits I can think of, melons and mangoes and stuff like that. So what about the meats? It seems like, that would be a hard thing, but there is an answer. Now, I know that, a lot of red meat eaters out there and stuff like that, so you're going to have to give the pass on this one, but go with skinless chicken. It's a great low acid staple. It's a great source of protein. I think it's for 4 ounces. I think there's, it's like 2/3 of the recommended daily allowance or something like that. So remember, chicken, poultry, and all that stuff is perfectly fine. However, deep frying it could be a trigger for your heartburn or your acid reflux GERD. So you want to throw a little fish in your diet also. Salmon contains omega-3s. They're essential fatty acids. It helps the heart, the joint, the eyes, that kind of thing. Again, I'm going to remind you like I did on the chicken. Remember how you prepare it. Acid reflux recipes for seafood could reduce and exclude seafood and the rest of them. They always seem to have a lot of spices and stuff like that. And take the spices out, add back in what you know that you like and what's good for you and what's not going to be one of your triggers. Don't forget to skip lemon when you're talking about these the seafood, because lemon can be a trigger in many of them. Find out what spices are your triggers and which ones aren't, and then start adding those ones that aren't back into your diet. So the doctors at Mississippi Medical Center, I'll read off what their recommendations. They recommend eating fish as well as other lean sources of protein and stay away from smoked, highly processed, and pickled fish or meat products. For example, sausages, pickled sardines, which all could increase acidity. So that's a pretty good list of stuff to stay away from. If you're an egg eater, you can egg whites, egg substitute as an alternative. Just stay away from the high fat yolk. Again, those can be triggers also. Don't fry it. Again, we're talking about stuff that is trying to trigger your GERD. Or your acid reflux or whatever. Try poached or baked or whatever, just not fried. Looking at oatmeal. Oatmeal is a great one. Again, for a low acid diet, it's excellent for fiber, for making you feel full. It's good for stabilizing blood glucose levels. Dump a little bit of fresh fruit on top of that oatmeal, and it turns it into a great meal. But just remember to stay away from the blueberries, cranberries, and stuff like that are high in acid. So another great staple in your pantry is going to be brown rice. It's an excellent source of fiber. It's going to help you regulate what's going on in your intestines, and it puts it's just really healthy for your heart. It's packed full of vitamin B. It can help maintain your body's acidity level. So, brown rice is really good for you. Nuts are one of my favorite snacks, but, you have to ask yourself which one, because some of them aren't as good as other ones. Some of them you do need to stay away from. But I love almonds, and they're fantastic. Plain, no salt, just plain old almonds, the big old bag of them. Unlike other nuts like pecans and cashews and stuff like that, almonds are alkaline. So the monounsaturated fat and the monounsaturated fat and the omega-3 in almonds, it contains both of those, and those are made to those are in there to protect your heart. So, and as a bonus, they're really high in fiber also, and they make you full between meals again, and those kind of things. Almonds contain vitamin E. They're a super healthy antioxidant. They have magnesium, manganese. When making these, some of these recipes and stuff like that, dump the almonds in as a low acid alternative. Most vegetables now, those are great for low acid diets. Just make sure again on how you're cooking them. Try not to use any oil if you can help it at all. Whole grains, rice, oats, those kinds of things make a great base diet, especially in acid reduction diets. So add them to any meal. When you're looking at foods to avoid when you're trying to deal with acid reflux, there are a few ones that you want to avoid that I just want to make sure that we hit on there. That's like tomatoes, onions, most of the fruit juices, sour cream, any fried foods, wine, coffee. Stay away from liquor, the high-fat pastries like donuts and stuff like that. Marbled meats, fried chicken, bacon, any of the citrus families, oranges, lemons, grapefruits, cranberries, those kind of things. Caffeine, carbonated beverages, any of the alcohol, mints, which are like peppermint, spearmint, spicy foods. We talked about onions, garlic, and chocolate. So that's just a brief list of the stuff that you want to avoid. Everybody's triggers are different. Again, I'm going to have another list down at the bottom that you can download, or you can ask me and I can send it to you, of the stuff to avoid and the stuff to go ahead and add to your diet. So at the beginning, we also talked a little bit about, and I touched on what a lot of this is going to take. It's going to take a lifestyle change, and there's a lot of high impact level changes that you can make in your life today that are going to help you with GERD. They can even help you just in life in general, whether you have GERD or not. These are just really great things to maybe pay attention to in your life, maybe make a few changes and kind of ease up on your systems a little bit. So, like achieving and maintaining a healthy weight, eating small frequent meals, because large meals increase stomach pressure, and then that gets you to reflux. Fat takes the longest time in your stomach to digest. So stay away from stuff that has a lot of fats in it, like margarines, butters, oils, dressings, fatty meats, gravies, dairy products, sour cream, cheese, whole milk. After you get done eating, try to stay upright for 45 to 60 minutes or so, just to avoid bending over, tying your shoes, doing anything like that, to keep your food digesting and going in the right direction. It's a great excuse not to do the dishes. Avoid eating before bedtime. It takes about 4 to 5 hours for food to digest and get completely out of your stomach. So give it at least 3 before you go lay down. When you do lay down, prop up your pillow, prop up the bed, get yourself about 6 to 8 inches, and that's going to help you keep that acid down in your stomach from flowing back up until you can get the repair done to your LES. Extra pillows work great for all that stuff. Stop smoking if you already smoke. I'm not going to go any further into that. It's just ridiculous. Now, reflux triggers, as I said, they differ in every person. Try eliminating the possible trigger foods for a couple weeks. Take all of them out. Then slowly start adding them back in and see which ones are your triggers. And then and you can get rid of those, because you don't need to get rid of everything. Doctors are going to tell you to do. Doctors are going to prescribe antacids to you too. They're going to, such as proton pump inhibitors, PPIs. And, discuss all that stuff with your doctor and see if it's really appropriate, or if diet might not be a better solution. It's one of as an example, one of my friends came to me one day, super bummed, because he got back from the doctor. Doctor said he had GERD, and he gave him the list, and the one I'm talking about. That's that list of everything that you can't eat. It looks ominous. I mean, it is a huge list, and I don't know why they do that to everybody. So that's why I concluded that list down below. The stuff you can eat. The doctor tells you what you can't eat. Let me tell you what you can eat. There's some also warnings down there about triggers, all of that stuff. So as I said, individual tolerances, and always talk to your doctor before you start changing up your diet. But I'm going to go into on this list of stuff: milk and milk products, breads and cereals, desserts, fats, fruits, meats and meat substitutes, potatoes, potato substitutes, soups and sweets and veggies, all kinds of stuff. So, but in each one of these categories, what I've done is I've talked about the foods to consider that are safe within that category, but I also listed some possible trigger foods that are traditionally ones that folks that have GERD that need to stay away from. So, go ahead and take a look at that. Go ahead and drop me a line. Tell me what you think. If you have any questions about GERD, any diet questions, I can help you with your diet. I can help you organize a diet. We can also just talk about kind of what kind of stuff is good and what's not so great for you. So anyway, enjoy the list. Good luck with your GERD if that's what you're taking care of. Have a great day. Remember, be brave, be courageous, and be yourself.